try to connect. The line is open. If you don't have the number already to call into Spotlight, you can call 0805 092 0927. But not until I establish the conversation with the HR management professional. Hello, Oluwasegun. Good to have you this morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good
Yeah,
morning.
it's a pleasure being here.
Yeah.
I think we are good to go. Thank you for having
Compliments,
me.
compliments of the season.
Yeah, in fact, it's already around. You can feel it. You know,
Yeah,
it's
you
that
can
feeling
feel
again.
you can
We
feel
are
the
there
weather
already.
change already, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, sure, sure.
yeah, okay. So firstly, I want you to you can hear me, right? I believe you can because you responded now. So now
I can
let's
hear you.
okay, great. That's good news. So let's talk about the distinct roles first of all of a human resource manager and an admin head because now it is often grouped together. So let's start from there. What is the role of a human resource manager, and then what is the role of an admin head in an organization?
Okay, yeah, thank you. So I'm just going to say this, right? There's no necessity for technicality of words. See, this is it. A human resource person is responsible directly for employees, while an admin person is directly responsible for everything and resources needed for those employees to function well, basically.
Come again, please. You said human resource is responsible for following up on welfare.
The employees, yeah, directly responsible for the employees. Anything
Okay.
that has to do with the employees, basically. Why the admin person is directly started with the responsibility of every functionality, every functional resources that make the employees to function, anything that makes the employees function, all right, in the
So
office, the
isn't that one
organizational
and the same?
functionality.
Isn't that the same thing
Can
then?
you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I said, is that not the same thing then?
Sorry?
I'm asking Oluwasegun. I said, is it not the same thing? If you're saying that the HR and then the organization lead is overseeing welfare, isn't that the same?
No, this is it. Okay, so HR related to people, admin related to things, basically. Things that make the people work. HR related to the people, making the people work, but admin responsible for things that make the people work. Basically, you not expect an HR to be the one to say, okay, why is this? Why is there no water running? Why is there no this? An admin is there to actually oversee that angle, even though there are people under that admin, just like a facility personnel, just like the janitor, just like the admin oversees that, not the HR. The HR is not supposed to be the one to oversee um, the actions of the security, so to speak. But HR starts from recruitment, admin picks it up whenever they come in.
Okay. Now, let's talk about how would you define a positive work culture? Please turn down the volume of your radio. Hello?
Yeah, a positive work culture, right?
Yeah, I said, how would you define that? Because that's the focus this
Sadly,
morning.
this
Yeah.
this is supposed to be something that should be universal. Like it should be a general standard across board anywhere in the world. Or like I said, sadly, we have dichotomies, we have differences, we have context in respect to culture. I don't know if you get. So it might not be a general thing, but on a general note, a positive work culture is that which prioritizes your mental health. All right. And when I say mental health, I don't mean any small breakdown, my helmet. No, no. I mean something that prioritizes your life. It prioritizes your basic necessities of life. Basically, you should have the joy of coming to work, not the sadness, not the agony of I'm going to work again. The joy of anything that makes you to be able to joyfully wake up in the morning, apart from just the money, although the money is part of it. But a good work culture is that which prioritizes your mental health, that which gives you room for growth and development. And that's just it basically.
Okay, so what is the role of the HR in fostering this now? The culture that you've established?
Oh, the role of HR in administering, let's say, a positive work
Yeah,
culture,
in
right?
fostering a positive work culture.
Yeah, it's like, how will I put it now? Okay, so the culture is like a doctor, all right? The HR is like the pharmacist that administer the drug. So
Okay.
even if there is a good prescription by the doctor, all right, if it is wrongly administered, if it is wrongly given, then we know what's going to come out of it. If a doctor says take 2 milligrams of this paracetamol, but the pharmacist did not read it well, and the pharmacist gave 100 milligrams, and the person takes it like that, we know what that means. So regardless of, I'm going to come on the general level now. If we have a good culture in an organization, I can bet you to see that a bad HR can make that a bad culture. So the HR is like the channel through which the culture are communicated to people. Although he is not an employee, but he is a channel. He is the channel, he is the intermediary. So if it is good, it must also be better coming out of him. So a good culture can be better communicated, and a good culture can also be badly communicated. So the HR functions in that angle.
So beyond the conversation around mental health, what exactly is a good work culture? Because I know you talked about just being happy to, are there other essential elements that...
Like I said, I would like to generalize, but
if you can
like
expatiate.
in this current situation, I'm using Nigeria as a context. In our current situation, you will have the likelihood of grumbling, of not becoming that enthusiastic again. And then let me tell you, one of the easiest ways to increase that enthusiasm, let's not say your company now say we want to increase your salary, you are happy. So the culture revolves around a lot of factors that some companies do not directly have control, and sadly, the employees do not even have control. Now, the employees are groaning and, requesting for better culture, and the company is saying, I can't do more than this. See, obviously, I can't. That doesn't mean that we don't have badly behaved organizations anyway. But I'm just saying on the general term.
Oluwasegun, I understand what you're saying, but there are people that are paid well in some organizations, but are miserable on the job. So what do you think could be responsible for... what are some issues you have had to deal with as a HR professional, like that is very common, that makes the work environment not positive?
That makes the work environment more positive, right?
Not positive, like, for lack of a better
not
term.
Positive.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, number one, when people are not given the hearing ability, when people are not being heard, when people are not given the freedom to speak, when people are not given that sense of responsibility, trust me, that's when you see people begin to say, anyhow they do it, let's just go. The number one thing, that makes any work culture positive is when the employees or the member of the organization have the confidence in the leadership. And that confidence comes from, number one, they know that they are always being heard. Not necessarily that they are always, whatever they say, they do it. Or when I say a thing as an employee, my employer is listening. He's not just hearing, he listens. A leader that listens improves the confidence and positivity of a follower. So what makes it not positive is when they know that they are not being heard. Everybody does what they like. They know that when they have initiatives, they will not be considered. They will not be heard. Everybody does what they like. They know that when they have plans, when they have a lot of things that will better the organization, but they will not be heard. Everybody does what they like. So number one thing is whenever an employee is not being heard, when they are not given that ground to speak, to express, that expression.
So how about do you get to deal with issues of
confidence comes with the ability to express yourself, basically. So whenever they are not given that confidence to express themselves, it's toxic for me.
Okay. Confidence in the leadership of the organization. But then, how do you tackle the issue of... Please turn down the volume of your radio, please. Hello?
I can hear you.
Oluwasegun. All right. So I said, how do you deal with cases of unhealthy competition with employees? What is the best way to address, like, how do HR come in cases like that? Because we see that happen, in organizations. Like, I established that beyond funding, there are people that earn very well. There are people that earn little, but they are happy in the work environment. There are people that earn so much, but then, the happiness is not there per se. So what about cases of unhealthy competition? How does the HR handle that? Because it gets to a point where, when you're trying to outdo a particular colleague and things like that, there's the loggerheads and all. So how do you tackle that?
To be very honest with you, there is no organization that there is no competition. So whether it is LDA or not, has a lot to do. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So are you saying it must be a dog-eat-dog thing? Is that what you're saying?
No. That's what I'm going to. I said there's no organization that there are no competition. If there are no competition, then I'm not sure they are really doing the best and the right thing. their competition, but it does not necessarily have to be on LD. All right. In an organization that is target based, whereby productivity are target based, how won't you expect competition there? Because an average person wants to do better. So it's not because there's a motivation, there's a motivational package. So that alone creates room for competition, and it should be healthy because the overall competition gives room for growth of the organization on a general note. But the unhealthy competition comes to a place whereby, again, it all falls back on leadership. If the leader is making it look like do or die, we are going to go over and over that on every competition. And I think sometimes it all boils down to people, all right? Some people are coming from a very toxic background that it takes a while for them to see the good in others, for them to really, really be an enabler of good things for others. They always want to see themselves at the spotlight. They don't consider themselves to be like a scoring moment for others. They don't consider themselves to help others. They always want to be at the forefront. They always want to be at the head, at the top. So leadership comes to play when you begin to balance that aspect. People will compete normally. If we are given the same task, we will compete. I will find a better way to get it done.
Okay, so let me ask you now. Let me ask you now.
On the long run, we are both doing the best for the organization. But if the leadership is not handling that aspect well, I will look for another strategy.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear from you now. You're a human resource management professional. Have you had to deal with a situation like that, and how did you handle it? Hello, Oluwasegun. Can you hear me? Are you there with us on Spotlight this morning? All right, we'll try to reconnect with Oluwasegun. We're looking at promoting a positive work culture this morning. And also, we're touching on the role of human resource management in organizational development. So we're going over that, and we have a human resource management professional on the line with us. We'll try to reconnect with him shortly. But if you have contributions, of course, you can call into the program to drop your 2 cents on what we are talking about. How do you think this can be fostered amidst everything going on around us in the country? We all need to, because where you work, where you get what you eat from, you have to take care of that end as well. All right, for whatever reason, it's difficult to connect, but we'll try to keep connecting. So you can call the studio line 0805 092 0927. All right, Oluwasegun. Okay, connected. 0805 092 0927. That's the line. What's going on with your line?
I was surprised it dropped.
Okay, well, soon we'll look at promoting a positive network, hopefully. So now, I was asking, I said, have you ever had to deal with something like that, and how did you handle it? Can you tone down the volume of your radio, please? The whole back is coming back to my end. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I was asking, how have you dealt with something like that before in your practice, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, actually. So that's why
when the competition was becoming toxic. So how do you when it be looking like a dog eat dog situation? Is that healthy for an organization?
Yeah, exactly, and that's where the importance of HR comes in. Number one, you are supposed to be observant, very, very observant. You are supposed to be very, very observant. You see someone. I was telling a colleague of mine recently, I think last week. Are you noticing this person? It's not like that person is lively, but you can see a drop in the liveliness of that person. Something is wrong. All right? It might not directly be from the organization. It might not directly be from his work. It might be from other factors, from home, from family, but it's affecting his disposition at work. And such a person, if you put such a person in competition, healthy competition with another employee, the person will always exhibit that toxic trait, that painful part of him or her. And that affects. So observe people, call them, have a good chat with them, reassure them, and sometimes you just need to encourage them, whatever they are going through. And when you notice such a thing, I think sometimes just change people's focus, pair them with someone else, or look for a task and make them work together, not as competitors, but as for a synergy sake. So when they know that they both need to work together to make this good, nobody is single-handedly collecting or receiving the praise. They are both receiving the praise, same as receiving the punishment, so to speak now.
Mm.
And when you bring that kind of a thing into place, you see them working together. And you see the synergy. You see the joy in them. They come back and they bring the results. Nobody is taking, I am the one who did it. What you have done there is you have done about three things. Number one, you have solved that person's particular problem. You have brought joy and love and unity into that workplace. And you have also encouraged synergy. They will always see that there is more results coming from working together than working independently. Even though they are better rather independently, but always preach synergy. And that is the easiest way. Obviously, it's everywhere, but encourage employees to have that mind of working together. If I don't see the reason to work with you, there's no reason for me not to go to any length to compete with you, even if it's unhealthy. I don't
Even
know if
if
you get that.
you're saying that even if it's unhealthy, as if like,
Yeah, exactly.
because I don't know why you keep saying even if it's unhealthy, because if it's unhealthy means it's not good, and then at some point the organization would have to pay for it one way or the other. Because
Yeah, that's on the long run.
so
And you
now,
discover that you have
how do you foster the teamwork? What are some strategies you've adopted to foster team spirit?
number one strategy is team bonding. Team bonding. Number one strategy.
Team bonding doesn't
And what
always work
team,
though.
team bonding? Yeah,
Does it
have a
work?
team bonding sessions where people just forget that we are competing or there's no deliverable here. All we are doing here is we are having fun, we are enjoying ourselves, we are playing together, and we want to have the best of ourselves outside of work, so to speak. Team bonding is that period whereby we just share art, we rub art together, we eat, we drink, we play.
Mm.
In that atmosphere, you discover that people are good. People have this good mind. It's when deliverables come to play, some people turn to something else. So number one thing to build teamwork is team bonding. If I can develop that likeness from team bonding, there is a tendency that there is a transfer of that likeness into working together. So that's number one. And number two, again, is where we are coming from, encourage healthy competition.
But you just
Honestly.
said you just said even if it's not healthy.
Sorry?
But you just said that even if it's not healthy, as long as there's
No, no,
competition.
no, no. The clause I gave there was if I can work with you for a while, there
Okay.
is every tendency, and this has been a
Okay.
I've seen it pattern
Sometimes,
over time.
sometimes, do you think the issue of favoritism too affects team spirit in organizations? Sometimes from
I
the
don't get that.
HR.
I didn't get that.
Oh my God! Did you hear me now?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, I said, do you think sometimes the issue of favoritism, maybe from the leadership of the organization, do you think sometimes it fosters, it fuels the unhealthy competition? When you have a situation where
Eh,
maybe the
not
head
not even
likes a
in
particular
professional
staff
organizations alone.
and and is open about it, in that case, would team bonding work to even help you foster the positive work culture?
You know the harm that comes with favoritism. Number one is the moment the people or the person you are not favoring, they notice it. Forget it. You've lost them. You've lost their enthusiasm. You've lost their commitment. Honestly speaking, because and these things comes to play. Number one thing that is going to affect productivity, and it's going to even promote unhealthy competition. Because I know I do not have a leverage. This person has a leverage because the person is favored. So I would want to go to any length to always prove myself better. That is unhealthy. That is unhealthy. So favoritism is real. Sometimes it can be subconsciously for the leader. Now this is it. Look at the subconscious aspect. If I have an employee who delivers, legit delivers on time and delivers well, there is a higher tendency for me as the line manager for my heart to tilt towards that person. We are human, legit, to be very honest. Anybody can do that. But that is where the leadership skills comes to play. Because I don't want to use my hand to gather something and use the same hand to scatter it. In the best way I can explain that. So favoritism is going to be present, but one thing that a leader should do is find a way to encourage everybody along the line, because you would want to have a favorite, but don't make it a public favorite. Even if it's a secret favorite, be ensured that you are not rubbing it on the face of others. Give them a leverage. Give them a leverage for them to prove themselves, either worthy or not. Don't give somebody an added advantage while you cripple somebody, even that when the person is struggling to give their best. So favoritism is there, but I think it's not something that should exist. in an organization,
Consciously exist.
That's just it.
But then when it unconsciously exists. All right. So you are talking about the strategies for fostering team spirit in an organization. You talked about two. Were you going to add to that? You talked about team bonding and healthy competition.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing is incentive, a cluster incentive. All right, cluster incentive is when an incentive is tied to energy. Create a room for cluster incentive. That's another way to do it.
Mm.
And then again, I think I will go back to favoritism. Remove favoritism. Give them a level playground. That's another way to increase teamwork.
Okay.
They all know that they are working for the same. So give them a level playground. Bring into play cluster incentive. Another thing again is, I think you should let people be people. Is another way.
How do you mean?
Let people be people. Although people have they are strings for both ends, but the hallmark is still letting people be people, and that's when you begin to see that we are now having inclusivity now in organization.
Mm.
And
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, but I believe that that's tied to I believe that you're tying that to gender, right? When you talk about women
okay.
not being.
I've jumped ahead, all right?
Yeah. All right. So now, how do you foster, as you know, we're told sometimes in training sessions that your colleague is not your friend, the HR is not your friend. So you talked about open communication. And how is team bonding going to work when employees are told repeatedly that your colleague is not your friend? And, are there ways that it can be balanced for on the part of the employees? And also the HR is not your friend narrative, because the impression is that HR will always sell you out. So how do you achieve your goal of promoting a positive work culture, even though you know that the open communication is not entirely open? Did you get the question?
All right. Thank you for that question.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, achieving a positive organizational culture, all right, and a healthy work environment starts from a recruitment process.
Okay.
Start from recruitment process, yeah. If the recruitment process is shabby and unhealthy, forget about it. The culture will be shabby and unhealthy. It is more likely that the culture is shabby and unhealthy when the recruitment process is shabby and unhealthy than otherwise. So start from the recruitment process. They are not coming to receive death penalty. They are not coming to submit death penalty notes. They are coming to work for you and work with you. So let them feel at home. Let them feel involved. If somebody and that's why you see that there's something about organizational PR, even from people who do not eventually get the role or get the job. There's something about organizational PR, and that's why you see, if you go to Glassdoor, you will see organizational review there, and not everybody who actually worked there.
Okay. I can hear you, Oluwasegun. Are you on the road?
So I said not everybody who actually worked there gives the review. Everybody, you have passed through there before or something. You have the freedom to give review. And the sad thing and the good thing rather about that review is that the way you treat people will be reviewed there. So achieving organizational culture, a positive one, starts from recruitment. If I am well treated when I was coming in, I already received a notion in my head that I cannot treat others bad and I cannot treat the work of the organization bad. And that alone is like a cluster. It goes round and shares round. And that's every other foundation you now want to build should be, every other thing you want to build should be on that foundation. If you are properly recruited, if you are elderly recruited, you will know that there is a sense of responsibility for you to elderly relate with others. And that's it.
All right. Okay, if you're listening to this is Spotlights, we're going over promoting a positive work culture. Of course, as you climb the ladder, I think you'll find this very useful. Even if you're working with an organization or you intend to go into HR or just work it out with your team members or colleagues, I think it applies to everyone, even in your business. Do HR have roles to play when it comes to businesses, Oluwasegun? Are they usually in businesses or they just consult them? Hello, Oluwasegun.
I didn't get that question.
Yeah, so I was talking about organizations, but then while I was going over what we were talking about, it dawned on me that do they have a role to play for people that do businesses? They don't have role to play, right? Like what I mean is not corporate businesses, just the regular businesses. Except they are consulted.
Okay.
All right, so you can share your thoughts on how you think positive work culture can be fostered, and share your experience as well, and some ways and some challenges you think can be overcome, how employees can better be taken care of in the country in Lagos. All right, we'll keep it light this morning. You can call 0805 092 0927 or 0705 890 4927. Okay, so but Oluwasegun, back to you. You didn't exactly talk about how the HR is not your friend thing can be addressed, but let's move on. What are some challenges you faced in creating a positive work culture now? Looking at these things from your perspective as a HR professional. Hello, Oluwasegun.
Number one is the fact that you have to deal with individual differences. It's a very strong battle, honestly speaking. When
Okay.
you talk about individual differences, you are talking about individual backgrounds, individual perspectives about life, individual philosophy about relationship, about work. So you are dealing with a lot. So individual differences is one of the challenges, honestly. Somebody who comes from a kind of home whereby it's not an essential thing to greet. So somebody who comes from a kind of home who takes culture in highly esteem. So you are like a leveler, and it's a difficult thing trying to bring people into that leveler, that leverage. So
Mm.
individual difference is one of the things you battle with, and I think it's just what it is. As far as
Mm.
we are humans, is what
Okay.
it is. There are individual difference we play
That's the major
over
challenge that
and
you
over.
faced in your practice. Different personalities. So how do you address resistance to change? Because I heard of something
Yeah,
called about the shock culture. Is that what it's called? Can you expatiate? Change
sorry, you
culture,
heard about what?
shock culture, or something like that. Culture shock. Um,
Yeah, there are culture shock everywhere, definitely.
so what's it about? Can you
I
expatiate?
in fact I've experienced it in the three places I've worked, and
Can you
I just keep laughing
can you
because they are
expatiate?
strong
Yeah.
shock.
So what is culture shock, and how do you
Okay,
handle
so this
resistance to change?
this is the number one. Let me use the places I've worked for example. Okay, number one is where I was coming from. Um, one of the places I've worked, if you are not fully suited with tie, you are going to be fine. All right. And then imagine moving from there and getting to a place whereby, okay, let me say, you need to see what I'm wearing right now. I'm putting on should I say, kaftan and a palm slide. I don't know if you get my point.
Yeah, I'm trying
So,
to.
moving from such a place and then moving to from such a place whereby they take that dressing in high esteem and it's very, very, very high. They take that. And you're going to a place whereby just come as you are. Look good. You will need to for you to really adjust. It will be somehow. But now consider the fact that I'm moving from a place where I'm allowed to wear and come as I am, and I'm moving to a place whereby if you do not wear tie, suited up, it's a challenge. So you be like, so is this
Okay,
culture shock is when
Oluwasegun, this
all you
is
have known is
yeah.
challenged and you felt like it's a norm, but it's not a norm there.
Okay, can you hear me? So this is I want you to answer the question from the receiving end. Please turn down the volume of your radio. I'm getting the whole back. I want you to
So
please
from the
address.
receiving end,
Yes, from the receiving end, how do you handle a case of culture shock? Let's say there's
yeah,
already,
sincerely,
an existing
um,
practice in an organization, and then you're trying to bring change. How do you address resistance to change? Because I think you would agree that that happens, right?
yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Okay. So
To
go
be
on,
very honest, to be
expatiate.
very honest,
Yeah.
if what's the grand scheme of my involvement of application or my association with that organization? What's the grand scheme? It's value. All right. Sometimes we might have to come to a middle ground. On a receiving end, I will just have to. What's the grand scheme? What's the in order of priority? Although some things are going to be difficult for me to change. Change is difficult, and the whole thing about culture shock is that it involves change. All right. So I will find a level ground. I would need to do. We all are going to do away with one or two things. That's just the truth. I remember very well. Look at it. For example, I think some years back, when it comes to banking, you even dare not print your hair or do some things. But you can see in banking now, sometimes they allow ladies to still tint their hair to a particular color. Why? The whole thing is changing. Work dynamics is changing from generation to generation. And so is going to be the principles and policies guiding people that work for you. They will change with time. You get, and then you see them relaxing their dress culture. Everything will change with time because you see that this particular person carries value.
Yeah.
As
So
far
how
as
do
your
you how do
direct
you how
necessity is concerned. So you would have to dance to the person's tune a bit, while the person will have to also dance to your tune a bit. And that's the beauty of culture shock. Adjustment, alignment and adjustment. That's just it. So on the receiving end, I would have to adjust because I know they are so going to adjust me one way or the other.
Okay, so you talked about adjustments, middle ground. So, what's the role of the leadership now? The role of HR in ensuring a smooth transition. How does the HR ensure that adjustments is done right?
Number one role is policy. Make a policy that supports them. That's just number one. Make a policy that supports those differences, whatever anybody might experience. Just have a good policy. A culture's health is strongly dependent on the kind of policy they run by. How flexible are they in terms of response to people's, complaints? And like I said, an organization where people feel heard, where people feel sense of responsibility, they are going to prosper. So the basic responsibility there, the basic way to go around about it, is to make people heard. Let people know that they are heard. Let people know that you hear them. That's just number one. Policy. Build a policy that supports it. And of course, you don't want to be a policy that is against the organization because you want to accommodate people's excesses. You are also looking at something that would not hamper the profit margin. There's something that will not hamper the productivity of the organization. That's why as an HR, it's a very tasking thing. You are holding the hand of the people as much as you are holding the hand of the organization. That's just it.
So you're in the middle. So how about conflict management? What's the role of HR and what approach have you?
Conflict management is a constant case. In fact, if you are working in a place where they don't fight, something is wrong.
No, because
there should be
no, when you put it like
some
that,
professional blow one or twice.
how would they be, what kind of blow is that? Like any office that encourages that,
That's why I said
that's
professional
not
blow.
professional. But what do you mean by professional? Yeah.
That's my main emphasis on this, and I can say it. All right, I'm entitled to my opinion.
No, they're
If I'm
sure.
in an organization and they don't throw one or two professional jabs at least once in a while, I might live there. That might sound extreme, but I might live there.
Yeah, but as much
There
as
should be. If we are really working, there will be a conflict at some point. See, if the conflict is not on a personal ground, it will be on a professional ground. It will be on a work ground. For example, you cannot in an organization whereby we have a marketing department and we have the finance department, and you say there won't be some jabs. There will be jabs because marketing will be coming with a particular budget in the name of increasing the organization's productivity, organization's awareness. But finance will be telling you this is our capacity. So are you telling me? And then it takes a strong and a very good leadership handling for that kind of jabs not to go into personal. Ideally, anywhere you have marketing, HR, and finance, there will always be. Because HR will always be telling the finance, I want the best for these people. Can we have a team bonding? And HR will come with the team bonding budget, and finance will be like, go and cut your cost. And those are the jobs that comes with work. But the beauty of it is that the leadership has made it known that whenever these jobs are coming, we are all looking at the best for the organization. The moment it shifts from the best for the organization to me, just letting them know that, yes, I'm a good HR. I love the people. Or for me as a finance person, in the name of letting the organization know that, yes, I care for the organization. I don't want to spend any out. No. Then the goalpost is being shifted. And we are going to have a very huge problem on the long run. So conflicts are going to come. The easiest way is let everybody know that there's a level playground. And the level playground is that there's a grand scheme. And the grand scheme is that we are all achieving the same goal, making the company move forward and getting the best for the organization. So conflict will come. Resolve it. Call the people together sometimes. Let them know that they are both right and they are both wrong. Sometimes you need to call one of them and let the person know that, look at it. Maybe sometimes you just need to share another light. Sometimes it's a perspective-based problem. Do you get? So you need to do a lot in letting people, like I said, conflict is
inevitable.
built on individual differences. If that can be addressed, you are good to go.
Okay. So now, how should employees manage conflict in a workplace? How do you ensure, as much as is inevitable, how do you ensure that it doesn't
Yeah.
turn into a marketplace? What are some strategies that the leadership and the HRO is expected to adopt, and also on the part of the employees? How do you resolve conflict with your team members or colleagues? What are some approaches that you would recommend?
Number one, from the leadership perspective, don't ever um, have favorites. And if you are going to have favorites, don't make it public. This might be simple, but this destroys a lot on the long run. From the leadership perspective, don't ever have favorites. And if you have favorites, don't make it public.
What if the
Then
HRO,
secondly is,
sorry to cut you short, what if the HRO has a
okay,
favorite? The HRO himself? Because
sorry?
when you say leadership, does that apply to the HR as well? Or you mean like the
Yeah,
board?
yeah.
So
The
what if
HR is
the,
like the older, it's like, how will I call it? It's like I'm trying to find that in the balance of our country now, the conqueror, the emperor, the lion, holding the policy and the principle of the organization and ensuring the proper dispensation of such. So, the HR is included. Oh, hey. Like I said, remember I said, even if an organization has a good culture, the communication of that culture is through the HR to the people. And it can be wrongly communicated. That's another part. So the HR is, in fact, highly concerned in this one. Don't have favorites. Don't imagine a statement like, maybe I'm trying to resolve a conflict, and as an HR, and I make a statement like, can't you see so person? Eh? That's why I always ensure that so person, you have forget it, you have lost it. You have to find a balance, and you have to ensure that you don't have favorites. Even if you have, don't make it public. And sometimes you can even have a secret favorite, such that the person you are even the person that is your favorite does not know that he or she is your favorite. These are the ways to encourage this thing. And for an employee, they are very sensitive. They are not animals. They know when you are favorite. They know. So you have to be very, very careful in doing that. And as a leader too, maybe the CEO or whatever you are, or the COO, you have to ensure, for every leadership role in the organization, you have to ensure that the favoritism is not a public good. And again, for the employee, another way again for the employee to ensure that conflicts are resolved and this and that is this. Make sure that everybody feels that sense of responsibility.
I'm talking of colleagues now,
If they
employees.
attack and you're not sharing it and you're not calling them to, they will feel like a dice guy about it. That's why you begin to hear something like, oh, sorry, apologies to people who don't understand you. So why should I? They won't call us, they won't put us there. So why should I carry the matter on my head? You get, it's a sad reality. I'm telling you. Oh, maybe we get a project in my organization now. We all imagine everybody now know that they will give it to Shegun. It's Shegun they will give it to. That alone, you have lost confidence, you have lost reliability, you have lost a lot with your people. So that's one of the sad parts of resolving conflict and ensuring that employees do not have that mindset. And again, I think this is very strategic. It's very strategic. One of the things I also say is this: ensure you are keeping to your evaluation period. For example, you have your mid-year evaluation, you have your quarterly review. These are the ways you have, and make sure it is a 360 review. 360 review in the sense that as a leader, you have been reviewed and you have the privilege to review others. Let the superior review the supporting people and let them also review their superiors. Nobody should be exclusive when it comes to review. The moment they know that everybody is being reviewed, we have a good way to go.
Okay, now, so on the part of the employees, how do they manage conflict among themselves? What are some recommendations you have?
Yeah, like I said, an average employee that organization has created room for team bonding, they will find a common ground, sincerely.
So what if team bonding doesn't work?
Sorry?
What if team bonding doesn't work? It doesn't always work. What if it doesn't work?
If you say team bonding doesn't always work, then that is beginning to question the effectiveness of that. It's beginning to question that team bonding, because the essence of team bonding is to bring everybody to a par. Sincerely, it's not just to come and eat and drink. It's to bring everybody to a par. And that's why in team bonding, there's nothing like, oh, you are the MD, don't play this game. All of us will play this game, and if you lose, you lose. So it brings everybody to it brings everybody to that landscape. There's no superior, there's no support person.
All
And
right.
one of the things you see there is there's going to be an exhibition of the true nature in team bonding.
Okay.
You get. So it's very rare that team bonding doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, I need to have a
So
one-on-one
now,
review.
now, if you're looking to resolve a conflict with your colleague, are you saying that you should initiate team bonding outside the management's team bonding? Is that going to help? Let's say I have an issue with you, you're my colleague. How do I resolve it on that level? Do I come to you and propose a team bonding, or do we talk it out
No.
without?
And that's where that's where we employ that's where we begin to employ one-on-one. Sometimes don't make it official. Hi,